That's me. Sorry, that's me. You've seen that anyway. And I'm just going to say a few words, and not wishing, I'm keeping you from a bit of a tea break, I think, or even something more. A little bit about why I think angels are so critical to the economy, and also, of course, why Southeast Angels is incredibly important. I've had the privilege of kind of seeing so much of this coming up from the ground floor, and there was a time when there were so few angels coming together in the Southeast. They always went to London. In fact, when Giles was talking about standing in front of London Business Angels, it was probably quite a lot from the Southeast as well, because there wasn't really a home for them, and now there is, which is wonderful. I just thought, again, just to kind of take you back to some data, because we've seen a very interesting market, haven't we, over the last few years? If we take, we were doing pretty well, fairly consistently up until the pandemic. And this is really looking at the equity market overall, of course. But what you've really got there was, you probably remember, a couple of years ago, 2021, everybody went mad. And I don't know how many of you made a significant number of investments in 2021, but we really did see such an exciting, frothy, pent-up market that came through. And this really was the same for angel investing too, quite frankly, and I'll show you in a minute. But obviously, we've taken a bit of a knock. And what I hope is, for many of you, that this didn't really mean that you stopped investing. For many angels, it was more about investing more in their portfolio, less in new investments, but it was so important that investors kept investing and kept those great entrepreneurs going. And you can see from last year's stats, that's 2023 here. It was only now 15 billion, so we've done a bit of a descent. But, you could say that's looking pretty similar to pre-pandemic, and maybe we're all just kind of settling down after the crazy deals that were going on. But I think it's something worth remembering. But I put a couple of stats up there which I think are important to bear in mind. Still, so much of angel investing is in London. It is still huge. It is where so many investors live. We've got 9%, though, in the Southeast. And actually, do you know, and it's a terrible thing you look at it, that's less than 10% of the whole lot, but you are the next biggest level of investing in the UK. And you're outstripping, well, it's East plus Cambridge, including Cambridge, who's obviously the significant player, as we know, Peter. But, in the end, this is still a very, very exciting thing going on here. You are still the biggest investor outside London. It's still only 6 or 7% in Scotland. And so this is a significant thing for you. You've captured a market of your own. We tend to lump in, and we always say London and the Southeast, but this is important for you to bear in mind and to feel good about, I think. So if we look at the angel situation, it's an interesting way for us, because we can only look at it from a number of angles. We have a number of ways of understanding angel investing. It's when people announce deals, and that's often just through groups, or individuals don't announce their deals. So you have to then look through Companies House, which is what BOHAS do, and really use that as data. And then you've got EIS. And for many of you, I hope you all know about the great tax breaks, but EIS is one way you have to give data. It's not transparent, unfortunately. We still can't unpick it enough to know enough about regions, enough about diversity, but it is a way of understanding that critical mass. So what we've got, if you look at this and realize this is 3 billion angel investment went on last year against a market that was, struggling. So we captured a lot of investments as angels last year. And it's a significant amount of investment. It is really important. Angel investment is the most important area on the supply chain. What you don't back, no one else will back. The VCs do. Look what happened to Giles. He got that important angel investment right in there in his company when he so needed it, having the confidence to back him, which then gave him all that he needed to go on and capture, significant investment from corporates going forward. So it's such an important role you play. Really, really important. And I will still continue to say this, and Susan's already alluded to this, I'm on a bit of a mission because there are not enough women in angel investment. So we did some research with BOHAS, who captured, the details of over 37,000 angels across the UK. So there's a lot more than even we know about. But only 5,000 of those people are women, only 14%. This is crazy when you just think how many women are in leading positions, owning wealth, having great careers, and yet we still don't have enough women investing. We still don't have an environment that's attracting women. And one of the other interesting things about this is that if you look, and Andrea's a prime example, we've only got 157 women that we're aware of that have a significant size portfolio. So, just having more than 10 companies, still very nascent, still very early for women. So we want to bring on many more women. And as we said, you can see by the stats, all of the research shows that women back women. Women really put their money behind women entrepreneurs. So that impacts the whole situation for women who at this moment, the stats are telling us, they're only capturing about 10% of total investment across the UK. So this is so significant as an area of investment. And so I hope you're all listening to this, anyone who's out there who is contemplating investing. And I think we have another important stat we have to bear in mind too, that only 11%, as far as we know, are from black and ethnic minorities. And last year, when we looked at this through the Investing in Women Code for the first time, we found that only 5% of total angel investment was going to black women, for example. So we have a long way to go. And so to really, I love what Christina's doing because she's trying to, create a much broader demographic, a much wider, diverse group of angels. And this is what we need. We really need that to bring all of those people forward. And then I just thought, and I'm playing on Peter's point because he said it, absolutely rightly. If you're going to invest, don't invest on your own. It's absolutely not the right thing to do. There are so many people with fantastic experience in this room. So being part of a syndicate is exactly where you need to be. It's a wonderful way to share knowledge, share experience, share your ideas, insights, and of course deal flow is a way you really widen your deal flow. But importantly, you pool your risks and you're pooling your capital together. And as you'll have heard, the name of the game is building a portfolio, making lots of small investments. And also, as Peter will acknowledge, it's a great way to make sure you do your due diligence because there's people around you who know all about this and can share that knowledge and insight. There's always someone who knows something about the business than when you don't. But I think it is really important to bear in mind that, the government, as I said, has backed angel investing now for nearly 30 years when the Enterprise Investment Scheme came in. And then I was really setting up UKBAA just as the seed Enterprise Investment Scheme. In fact, we call that sort of trampoline effect that we use to really make, to launch the organisation. But it's very important to bear in mind now that tax break has really boosted the UK investment. And I think that's how we get to that amazing figure that I just showed you. If you look at that in other markets, it's nothing like it. So although others are trying to emulate it, we've got the great system. And when they opened up SEAI last year to open it up to a wider group of people, so you could have more money through SEIS and you can hold it on for 3 years as an entrepreneur. That's so important. We were so relieved when the government kept it going until 2035. That's kind of giving us a bit more boost, but still a long way to go, I think. But also, one of the beautiful things is, and you've heard this, you can make money. Isn't that amazing? But I think you've all learned, and I'm sure I don't need to tell you this, it's very patient. You have to be very patient capital. It takes a long time. And the journey for Giles and for Arjo was really, really long, but look where it got them. And Peter and Andrea will know this takes a long time to get to exits, unless you're super lucky, of course. Deep Minds did pretty well, didn't they? So, in Angel sold to Google. But that's important to know. Whoops, doing it again. But I thought we should just kind of have a quick, we're in an interesting phase, aren't we? We're in election time, and it's time for us to think, what do we want from the next government? And we've been thinking about this too. And obviously the most important things we do want them is to continue to build that tax break for angels. But there's certainly opportunities for more transparency, maybe using more incentives towards key players in the market, key entrepreneurs, maybe regions, diversity as well. For many of you, you may have heard we had a bit of a debacle earlier this year when HM Treasury tried to change the criteria for high net worth and for sophisticated, which impacted massively on women. Because for those of you who don't know, they were trying to move the 100K a year that you could earn to qualify as a high net worth to 170K, which excluded so many women and so many other broader players, and also fiddled with the sophisticated criteria as well. Fortunately, with a lot of lobbying for some great people in this room, as well as ourselves at UKBAA, we managed to get them to see reason. But we do have to keep on it. We need the next government to make sure it's a friendly regulatory environment for angel investing, one that supports and doesn't deter. British Business Bank, Susan's been giving, a very important overview. There's a really important area of investment that they make in regional angels to build regional angel investment. So you would be eligible here. Unfortunately, at the moment, the way it's been structured, it hasn't backed any women-focused or diversity-focused angel groups, and we're really working on that to change that game. So we will make sure we're talking to the next government, so we already started that, to see if they can put a much bigger amount of money available. It co-invests alongside angel groups. It leverages angel investing. It boosts new players into the market as well, and we think it's very important. And I'm part of the new Invest in Women task force, which was set up by Department of Business and Trade, but will continue. But what we're doing is something very important. As a task force of people who are really looking at where women's capital can be boosted and leveraged, we have been pulling together, and hopefully will succeed in pulling together a new 250 million fund, which will be able to sit alongside emerging women as managers and founders of venture capital, but also great women-focused angel groups. I think there's a huge opportunity for the pensions. For those of you who've heard about those, there's definitely a chance for the pension fund, for us to capture something into the angel and early stage market. We don't want it all drifting into the low risk, high growth area. So we will be working to make sure that a good portion of the at least 56 billion pension money, which is untapped out there, comes down to this end of the market and can really help to boost the deals you're making. And then finally, as many of you know, one of our biggest challenges as angels is liquidity. Getting your money out rather than being tied up is one of the biggest challenges. Not just angels, it's right across the supply chain. And we hope that there will be a lot more support for some much more useful structures to do this. Some of you may have heard of the Pisces scheme that's being looked at as part of the London Stock Exchange. But I think we have real opportunities now to help people sell those shares, recycle that money. Don't just run off with it. Recycle that money and invest in many more entrepreneurs, because we need to kind of release this wonderful patient capital that gets incredibly tied up. So there'll be some of the conversations I'll be having, are already having with the next government. But we really welcome your ideas. Do tell us at UKBAA what more we can do for angel investment. And I thought I'd just end by, first of all, thanking you all so much for the investments you make. For those who haven't already invested, I hope we have inspired you already, and we will do for the rest of the day. And most importantly, as he said, old Kitchener, your country needs you, and there's no better time for it now. Thanks very much, and thank you to you all.